What is up, everybody? Thank you all for joining us tonight on Bartley and Barnes. This is a special occasion episode. At least I would call it that. And we're sorry for the delay on the show, but also, hey, Keith and I are both night owls, so it's only fitting that we're doing a podcast at 9 p.m. at night talking the Many Saints of Newark. And look, this is basically kind of our next episode of Bartley and Barnes, but we really, for the most part, want to focus on the Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos prequel film. We are going to touch on some other things, certain things if we have time, but definitely we're going to catch up on our homework assignments and assign some new ones. So, Keith, if you haven't thought of a new one yet, maybe get that ready in about an hour or so. And I'm excited to talk about our previous homework assignments as well. We'll get into that, but what we're here to do is an arrow owl. Rachel, wow, how fitting. I didn't even mean to do the owl tie-in. I don't know if you can see the comments, Keith. I think you can. But no, hello to the night owls. Yes, hey, we are we are definitely Keith and I have hung out on late nights certain times before.
Oh yeah,
and
way later than this.
Yeah, more than most people care to hang out that late. But yes, it is. We're doing a 9 o'clock show. We're going to be talking about the Many Saints of Newark for sure. In-depth spoiler discussion. If there's anybody out there who is a Sopranos fan and wants to talk about this movie, if you have any questions for us, or any, speculation or theories, opinions, please, we want you to share those with us while I text one of my brothers and remind him that we're doing this because he wanted to talk about this. And Keith, I'll share this with you. So after you, basically convinced me to finally watch Sopranos, my brother was staying with me at the time and he would see me watching it. And then he was like, I got to watch this. And he watched it shortly after and he absolutely loves it too. This is my brother, Jonah, my middle brother. Yeah. And so I told him, I was like, Many Saints of Newark is out. I was like, go watch it here, log into my HBO account, watch it. And he was very excited. And I told him though, I was like, kind of, I don't want to say lower your expectations on the movie, but lower your expectations on like, that you want it to be a Sopranos movie. You know what I mean? And I think that's good to know going in. And this is what he said after, or he texted me this today. He said, I've watched it 1.5 times already. I absolutely love it. Love the actor that plays Uncle Dickie. He said, F Junior, that blankety blank. I'll just say blankety blank. Said the ending was the best with the music. So this is a casual Sopranos fan, somebody, and he loves the show as well. And that's what he texted me. So he really, really enjoyed it. So that's awesome. Good. And Rachel, she watched the Many Saints of Newark. That is awesome. Rachel, I thought you were here just for support. I didn't assume that you watched it.
Yeah.
But that's even better that you watched it. Thank you. Excellent. And you're only a few episodes of The Sopranos. I'm wondering, did you watch those episodes after you saw the movie, or did you watch a few episodes a while ago? And you said most references probably went over my head. So that means you probably watched the couple episodes a while ago and then watched the movie. Yeah. That's okay. I'm an accepting fan of anything. Like somebody wants to jump in the MCU right now and then 100%. They want to be a fan. Cool. They want to become a Sopranos fan right now. Awesome. That just means more people love what I love. So I have no problem with people jumping into something at any point in time. So if whenever you become a Soprano fan, or if you're just interested in watching the movie, that's awesome. But yeah, so we're definitely gonna just dive deep into that movie for about 30 to 45 minutes. But Keith, was there anything else you've been watching recently that you wanted to highlight really quick before we dive deep into this movie?
Yes. boy, this is a tight game. Wow.
Yeah. And by the way, look, and I told our normal episodes we talk sports, and right now we're keeping an eye on the Cardinals and Dodgers game. Not because I care about the Cardinals, and I definitely don't care about the Dodgers unless it has to do with my Giants. But if the Dodgers win, they're playing the San Francisco Giants in the first round of the playoffs, which is crazy. Like, this is every single pitch is going to be tense in that series. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight during that series.
Oh, in that 100%. Series? Yeah, definitely.
There's going to be a rush from the bench, from the bleacher, or from the dugout for sure. So anyway, we're keeping an eye on that. So if we randomly change this, like cut to talking about that, then we'll bring it up real quick. I guess there's our sports inclusion on the show today.
You might hear like I nearly reacted to that base hit just now because that was a very well hit ball. Anyway,
yeah. But yes. Anything you've been watching recently that you want to highlight?
So I went and saw Free Guy. About a month ago.
You know what? All right, so we skipped last month's episode. That's my fault. I had some stuff going on, but I had Free Guy on the notes for that because I had seen it. So we could talk about Free Guy a little bit.
It's pretty fun. I actually enjoyed it.
It's good. Yeah.
You saw it? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's silly. Obviously, it's a goofy movie, but I thought it was actually really good. I liked. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds is great as always. I really loved I really bought his character in that. Like
for sure.
I really enjoyed it. I loved Steve from Stranger Things.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Whatever. Yeah. I really liked him. The only thing I didn't really, well, no, that's not true. Because I did like him because I love him and everything. But just. I love Taika Waititi so much. It was weird to see him trying to be a villain. But
I know what you mean. But look, he's so funny that it works.
Right.
And
exactly.
Look, I saw Free Guy like when it first came out, and so it's not fresh in my mind, but you're reminding me. I actually really enjoyed that movie because from the marketing only showed inside the video game, as far as I know. I didn't know there was going to be a whole outside story about it. 100%. And I really liked the whole outside story thing. And
me too.
This movie, I don't want to say it's deep, but it's deeper than I thought it was going to be.
There's a little love story in there that I thought was very well done.
It was well handled. And you know what also it really felt like to me, and we've compared this to stuff before, is The Truman Show, honestly. It reminded me of that a little bit, how like, first of all, they're watching this guy and he's conscious, right? He's become conscious, and it becomes a phenomenon. Like everybody's and you see everybody around the world watching it all at the same time and reacting to it, just like you've seen The Truman Show, right?
Oh, I love The Truman Show. It's one of my favorites
so that's what reminded me of The Truman Show, is how like you see like all these strangers just watching what's going on with Free Guy. Yeah. And I thought that was cool. Yeah.
I really liked Rachel, I'm very hungry. I just got home and I haven't eaten, so I'm going to take a bite occasionally from my pizza here.
That's okay. And yes, oh my goodness, the Cap shield and the Hulk hand. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm glad you brought that up. But I really thought like the game Free City, I think it's called.
Yes.
Free City. I love the way it looked like if GTA 5 was real. That's what it would be, just like that. All that just craziness at all times.
Yeah,
I loved him. I love Lil Rel Howery. I'm gonna talk about him and something else too in a second. But I loved him.
Oh, he's the security guard, right?
Yeah. He
was great.
I loved him. And was he so good in this? I loved him.
He was so good.
I watched him in another movie that I'm gonna talk about in a second.
I like him in everything I see.
He's so great, man.
Honestly.
I love. Did you ever see Uncle Drew?
No, but you've talked about it. Yeah.
I liked Uncle Drew, man. He's really funny in that too. But I love him. But the Cap Shield part was funny. I had the Chris Evans cameo spoiled for me, not on purpose, but just I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw that he was in it. I think Ryan Reynolds, tweeted to him and was like, "Thanks for showing up in my movie, man. You know, you really didn't have to do that." And I was like, "Oh, Chris Evans is in it, man." So I was actually expecting him to be Captain America for a second.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was
just him reacting to that. Yeah,
But it was still funny. I love that he did that. But then right after that, the lightsaber part was a little bit too much, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I
get
yeah,
it. It was
well,
funny.
look, it's a Fox movie now,
Yeah.
20th Century Studios, so they
Right.
can make any Disney reference they want now.
100%. But then, like, 3 people all said, "Oh my god, it's a lightsaber! Is that a lightsaber? Yes, it's a lightsaber. Yes, we know it's a lightsaber. Like every, so
Well, duh,
yeah, exactly. Like
laser sword, right?
but it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I like that actress too. I hadn't seen her in anything.
The real world one or the video game one?
Well, it's the same. It's the same actress.
Oh, was it actually her?
She played both. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I think I knew that, but it's not fresh in my mind. Like I said.
Something Comer, Judy Comer, something like that. I think it's her name. I don't have it in front of me.
Well, anyway. So I last month before, like, we didn't do the show, but I had Cruella on the notes as well. I finally watched Cruella because it came on Disney.
It's on Disney Plus. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
$30. Oh my goodness, Keith! It's one of the best movies of the year.
Really?
Yes. Cruella is amazing.
Wow, okay.
It's, first of all, Emma Stone is. I mean, we know she's great, but she absolutely kills it in this role.
I wasn't
100%.
I didn't have a problem with it. I wasn't in a rush to see it. I just didn't really.
No, same for me, because like it wasn't like a. I mean, not that I would be interested in this either, but it wasn't like another live action 101 Dalmatians.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like, it was a origin story for a villain that I don't really care that much about.
Exactly.
But I don't care. That movie is amazing.
That's what I keep hearing.
I was captivated, honestly. Like, I could not, like, Emma Stone. Oh my! You just got to watch it.
Yeah.
You just got to watch it, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's great, and hey, you can watch it with your daughters, and I mean, if your son too, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Sure. But I mean, there you go, another movie night for you, man. I would definitely check out Cruella.
Absolutely. I saw that it was on Disney Plus for free, and I went, oh, okay. So yeah, we were actually scrolling through that last week.
Man, I wish I would have seen it in theaters, Rachel. The colors were really good. And I remember, I think Jake said this, or he mentioned somebody else said it, that it's like a heist movie in a way too. It's interesting. This is what he said. Devil Wears Prada meets Ocean's 8.
Okay.
That's basically what this movie is, but except there's not like a whole team of people working the heist, just a couple people.
Okay.
But still, and then there's like a personal element to it. Like it's really cool. I definitely recommend it. Hey, we got Gio here. Hey, Gio, thanks for coming in, man. Dude, finally saw Cape Fear, so he'll put his review up on Apocalypse.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that. Good, Gio. I've been challenging you to that for almost a year.
Yeah.
So,
anything else you wanted to bring up, Keith, before we dive into Many Saints?
Yes. So speaking of earlier, we mentioned Lil Rel Howery. I watched Vacation Friends with John Cena.
I've been here, like I keep hearing people bring that up.
Hilarious.
Really?
It's absolutely hilarious. I love that movie. It was so funny. I mean, there's a lot of super uncomfortable, funny parts, but it's actually really good. I thought it was very funny, and John Cena and his wife are Lil Rel plays a guy who's engaged, and him and his fiance are in Mexico. They meet John Cena and his wife, who are also there. Just a bunch of stuff happens where it starts off where John Cena and his wife have accidentally taken their hotel suite that they were supposed to get, and then there's a bunch of stuff that happens from there. Just it's really, really funny. And then they think they're never going to see them again. They have a really crazy week in Mexico. They think they're never going to see them again, and then they see them like 9 months later or something. They pop up. They just show up at their wedding rehearsal or whatever it is, rehearsal dinner, and then it goes from there. It's really, really, I mean, it's hilarious. John Cena, man, I mean, he's he's so funny. Like we talk about it all the time about like his comedic roles. I mean, he absolutely nails it every time, man. I don't. He's really got a knack for playing parts like this and being really silly and putting himself in crazy situations and positions.
No, I like him. I mean,
he's a master.
Some people didn't like him in Blockers. I liked him in Blockers.
I haven't seen Blockers.
I like his style of comedy because he plays like the straight guy, who's like not trying to be funny, like but is. Then that's his. I'm talking about the characters.
Yeah.
And he plays that well.
He is,
and Gio brings up a good point. This is where we first saw it.
Yeah.
This is where we first saw it in Trainwreck, and he was really good in that too. Yeah.
He's not the straight guy in this at all. He's
okay. I mean, just typically that's kind of how he plays.
Yeah, definitely
the type of character he plays in a lot of stuff I've seen. Yeah,
he's definitely over top, but he's very, very funny, and there's a reason why he is the way he is, which they do a pretty good job of getting.
No, I mean, I hear like 4 or 5 people start talking about the same thing, like start hearing about that movie everywhere I go.
Yeah,
I need to watch it. So Rachel brought this up. We haven't heard Keith's take on What If yet. I'm down to hear what you've thought so far. It done? I mean, it's done, but
I haven't watched the finale yet. This is the finale, right? Is it the last one?
The finale is out. I've seen it, but I think we're gonna do a review tomorrow on Apocalypse. So I won't talk about the review or the finale. But what have you thought of it so far up to that point?
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. I love it too. I did the first. I was able to talk about.
You did a couple
too. Yeah,
you did a couple.
But since then, no, I loved. My favorite was the T'Challa Star-Lord episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's still up there, but the Michael B. Jordan, the Killmonger one.
Ooh, that one was amazing. Good. Yeah.
Amazing. I love that episode. It's still bothering me a little. I don't know why. It's not a big deal. But just the way these are supposed I've said it before. These are supposed to be different universes, but the same stuff is kind of happening at certain points up until.
Well, we talked about this, Keith. They are the same universe until one choice is made.
I don't know. Is that what?
But they say that the Watcher says that.
I thought he said
he's like this world is just like yours until this one choice was made. But I agree with you that there should be a lot of differences after that choice, and it seems like so. Yeah, and honestly, that the finale actually might. There's a scene in the finale that might upset you more if that really does bother you.
Okay.
Because there's something that happens with the character like decades later that happened the same exact way, but it's just a different character. That's it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I can't wait to watch it.
Gio brought this up. I think the Doctor Strange episode is my favorite one.
Because I'm right there with you. I would agree with that.
That episode can win an Emmy for as far as I'm concerned, to be honest. Because that episode went to another level of depth for me emotionally. And
I agree. I actually wound up watching that one back to back. I immediately watched it again.
It's so good and heartbreaking, and
and you forget and Benedict Cumberbatch. You forget he's done a lot of voice work. He was Smaug, and
that's true.
The Cat in not Cat in Hat. He was the Grinch. So I think that kind of
and not everybody's back. So I'm glad he's back.
Yeah,
for the voice because he really knowing that it's him and you could hear that it's him. It adds good depth to it.
I
really liked the Ultron episode too.
Yes, I was going to say.
I think that might be my second favorite.
I think it was very good. Whoever's doing Ultron I know it's not James Spader.
It's not James Spader. Yeah,
but I think he's doing a good job because he's kind of. It's not really that Ultron. Like it's the Vision Ultron. So he kind of. It's kind of a mix between Paul Bettany.
Doesn't mean he's not going to sound like that.
Yeah. So I just he's very menacing. So I know that was last week, right? The last episode.
Yeah, and he splits Thanos in half. Like, oh my goodness! If Ultron
blew me away.
If Vision didn't get stabbed by one of the Black Order guys,
that's probably what he would have done.
He would have defeated Thanos.
100%.
But of course, look, the writers they had to eliminate Vision full power in order for Infinity War to work.
Oh, and exactly. In the same way they had to get rid of the Hulk right away because Thanos beat him up, but still, a fully enraged Hulk probably could have, you know.
Well, Hulk wasn't expecting that.
That's what I'm saying. He caught him
totally
off guard.
caught off guard. And I mean, I know Thanos. I don't think he used any Infinity Stones when he fought Hulk. Actually, the first time.
I
But
thought
he
he did.
had them though, so I don't know if that just makes him more powerful in general.
He had the Power Stone because he used that stone to punch Captain Marvel in Endgame. So
yeah, he did have a stone.
He had that one,
and that's when he got his second one. Is in that scene,
the Tesseract. Yeah. So
yeah.
I always assumed he was just using that. I don't know. I mean, he probably could still beat up the Hulk anyway,
because he's like the same size as him.
All right. Yeah. And he's a trained warrior. Like
the thing with the Hulk though, the angrier he gets, the more powerful.
Right.
So we could have seen something. Yeah, but definitely, I always thought if Vision wasn't injured, there's no movie. There's no Endgame. If Vision wasn't injured.
Yeah. Yeah. That scene. I mean, he sees Thanos walk through that portal. And he just goes, "Huh, fascinating." And just.
Oh, but
and I was
actually,
like,
so Jake brought up a good point, and I actually agreed with him because I was thinking the same way. Jake said Vision wouldn't have done that, and he wouldn't have, because Vision says when Vision is first created, he says, "I'm on the side of life." He's like, "I don't want to kill Ultron. He's hurt or something," and he's like, "I'm on the side of life." So, but at the same time, killing Thanos would mean he's on the side of life.
That's what I'm saying. If Thanos wants to destroy all life, but he said he doesn't want to kill Ultron, but then he immediately said his hurt and pain will roll over the earth, so he must be destroyed. So he knew.
So maybe if he knew Thanos was a threat, like he would have more lives than, he would have killed him. So we'll see. That's up for debate, but we'll see.
That's interesting.
Any other anything you want to bring up, Keith? Anything else?
Nah, that's basically it. We got an NBA preseason. It's kicking off.
Yeah, I'm excited for.
I think
NBA.
the Lakers are actually on right now playing the Phoenix
Suns. It's like we didn't get enough of a break between NBA seasons, but I don't mind.
No, it's all good. Yeah. Hey, listen, I think they're playing the full 82 this year, full season. So they're back to normal. So, a lot of sports, a lot of movies. Movies are kicking back in gear. You and I are going to see.
Dude, I went to the theaters twice last week, and I'm going this week
again.
So I saw Venom, Many Saints of Newark last week, and then I'm seeing Bond tomorrow night, and then I'm seeing Dune the next week. I'm like, Dune. Yes, this is part of what I live for. I love this.
And I think Halloween comes out next week, right? Isn't Halloween next week?
You know what's funny? We used to do this all the time.
I know, right?
Like I used to go to the theaters like once a week, like for the most part on average. So yeah,
I'm happy.
Yeah, it does make me happy. Like I'm like, it makes my week better. I have it to look forward to.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Exactly.
But yes. So last, I think it was it Friday night? We watched the Many Saints of Newark. Yeah. Very highly anticipated for Keith and I. We have our shorter spoiler review up on the Apocalypse YouTube channel, and you can check that out there. But we're gonna dive a little deep here.
Mild
and
spoiler.
Get into the mild spoiler review, I guess you could say. But this is our in-depth spoiler review. We're going to talk Many Saints of Newark, and we talked about it on the other review, Keith. But and it's not just because it's a Sopranos movie, but obviously that has to do with it. But I just love this movie, and because I think they succeeded at making it a set in this world, but then also making it its own thing.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I said. Was like I was genuinely happy just to be back in this world with these characters. Obviously, younger versions of all of them. But it was just interesting, the setting being setting it back in the 60s. And early 70s, and seeing what those guys, all those people were like at that time. The people that we know, most of them from the show were kids, obviously Tony and Carmela. We get a quick glimpse of Carmela, Janice. We get young Jackie April, which is cool. We get young Artie Bucco talking about his
So
restaurant.
who's the character who's gets with Janice later on in season 6? Who's that guy? Is he? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, that's
the guy who's playing Monopoly with them in season 6.
Yes.
The
Oh
scene you told me to watch.
Oh my gosh.
Is
Steve Sherpa is the actor.
I
can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
Is he part of the crew?
He is. Yes.
Yeah. So was he in the movie? His character?
No, I don't think he was.
Okay.
God, man, I'm so mad I'm blanking on his name. But yeah. He's because Tony was actually talking about moving him, giving him
more, yeah, you're
more
right.
to do. And I think
who knows? Maybe he was like, look. First of all, this movie made me realize that I need to rewatch the series because, look, I've only seen the series from beginning to end once, and I love it, absolutely love it. It's top 2 show of all time for me. But
Bobby Bacalieri,
yes, Bobby, duh.
Bobby Bacala. They call him Bobby.
But doesn't mean I'm like an expert on it. So there's so many things that happen in this movie that are connected to the show that even went over our heads, or it went over my head for sure, because I didn't even remember that. And we'll talk about it here in a second. There's a crazy scene in the movie that they talk about in the show. I mean, we can just talk about it now. So there's a scene in the movie where Tony Soprano's mom and dad, they're driving home with Uncle Junior in the back seat and Uncle Junior's girlfriend.
No.
No. Isn't it?
It's Uncle Dickie.
Oh, you're right.
When Janice told the story on the show, she said it was Uncle Junior, but in the movie it was Uncle Dickie.
So what? That's interesting. So is that why you wanted me to watch it?
That was part of it.
But what is interesting? Look, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a plot hole or that they got it wrong. It means that because they could have told the story wrong, or they avoided saying that Dickie was there because the whole thing that happened with Dickie, right?
Possibly. And also, and it's one of those things where, I mean, she was a kid at the time. She may have just misremembered, or just for some reason she just thought it was, maybe someone just said your uncle was in the car, and she just assumed it was Dickie.
Well, that's a good point. It could have been your uncle was in the back,
right?
And blah 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 blah,
and it was Junior,
and she thought it was Junior. So that makes sense. But basically, the mom has her hair up in a thing with a
beehive haircut,
and then the dad just shoots her through her hair just because she's talking too much. And they tell that story in the show in season 6B.
Yeah.
Never have to say that for any other series. 6B, season 7. Yeah. And then they actually show the scene in the movie. But I hope that they didn't just get it wrong and didn't know their own show.
I think.
But I think you're right. That makes total sense. Imagine if the dad's telling the story, right? And he's like, "Oh, it's so funny. Your mom was sitting here. She was blabbering. Your uncle was in the back, and I shot her. Whatever." But
that's how. Yeah.
I was in the real, maybe not in the mob mafia real life, but in just a regular human beings, if somebody did that, the wife would divorce him, never talk to him again. Absolutely. But this is the Italian mafia in New Jersey. The wife is yeah, you did that, but what choice do I have? That's just the world that they live in at this time.
Exactly. And unfortunately,
Rachel, this is so funny because in the show, Carmela says what'd she do with her hair? And then Janice says she had a bob the next day. She had a bob the next day. So
and Carmela cracked up at that.
They actually say that in the show. Yeah. So that's funny.
And the thing, and Tony didn't like that. Remember, Tony was upset about her telling that story.
Yeah, he was, and I love this. And look, I love this because he says it makes us look like a dysfunctional family.
Which they are, obviously.
Exactly.
But I wonder if because Dickie was there, I wonder if now they weren't thinking about this at the time of the show, but you could say maybe that's why Tony got so upset at that, because Dickie was there and he didn't want to think of Dickie in that way.
That's possible too.
With his or his dad, for that matter, even though he knew his dad was a bad guy. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very interesting. They told.
By the way, The actress who plays Janice must have 2 younger daughters that look exactly like her
I know, right?
and played her in the 2 eras in this movie because they literally look
Just like
like
her, right?
a younger version of her, like in the face.
You know,
It's
she's
crazy.
Ada Turturro. She's John Turturro's cousin.
Really?
Yeah, that
Oh,
plays
that's
Janice.
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
That's
totally.
awesome.
Especially the teenage Janice looks just like
Like
her.
same facial features. Like
All of them. They did a great job. The
So,
young Carmela looks just like Edie
Carmela
Falco.
looked like a young Carmela.
Yeah, it's crazy how they cast all those guys. The young Artie Bucco looks just like him.
Mhm.
The only one, I don't know if you watched Christian Harloff's review. If anybody doesn't know Christian Harloff, he's a big huge Sopranos guy. So I was really eager to hear his thoughts on this movie. He said exactly what I thought as well, and this is referencing Silvio Dante, who played by oh my gosh, he's in the E Street Band. Steve Van Zandt. Steven Van Zandt. If anybody doesn't know, he's in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. But yeah, the guy that's playing him, I don't have that actor's name.
But honestly, I don't even care if they didn't look like them because they're not supposed to. Whenever you do a prequel and they're
not
younger,
the look.
It's impossible for them to look exactly like them.
Oh, he got the look. I mean, but his performance was really he
Didn't
seemed
work
more
for
like
you?
He seemed more like he was doing an impression.
Wait, which character?
The guy that plays Sylvia. That had the
yeah. I
had the toupee.
Yeah, he did seem like he was doing an impression, kind of.
Yeah. He's just doing the. I don't know, Tom. You know, it could be this, it could be that. He was just kind of doing. This felt like more of an impression, which was a good impression. Like Christian was like, it's a really good impression, but
it felt like an impression. What do we always say when a younger actor's playing an iconic character or something? We say, make it your own, right? Like, pay homage to the character and the actor or the actress, but make it your own. And maybe that one was a little bit of not making it his own.
Exactly.
However, I mean, he wasn't a main character anyway. So.
No, exactly. Well, see, and that's one of the, and we talked about it on our Apocalypse review. But I know David Chase has said he wants to do a sequel, and the writer, I forgot his name, you mentioned the other day, said he would do it in a heartbeat. He said that the sequel would cover Tony in his 20s. And all
we talked about the other day that Michael Gandolfini's already in his 20s. So and 22, we definitely think they aged him down for when he was in high school.
Yeah, absolutely. And so speaking of, oh my gosh, ball game. Wow. Okay, sorry, I don't know if you saw that. Wow, walk off. Anyway, okay.
Google doesn't update fast enough. I don't actually have the game on.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
I have the score.
It's over.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Sorry for those who are here for the movie review, but I warned you guys we're gonna interrupt the show for this. The Giants are playing the Dodgers. Oh my goodness.
No, we're never gonna hear the end of it from Dodger fans. God.
Giants, and you know what's the worst case? My uncles and a big part of my family are all Dodger fans. So
yeah,
that's interesting. So
yeah. Okay.
I just think that it's just unfortunate, like that sports can be manipulated when ratings are involved. But we'll see. Look, hey, as far as excitement goes, and like premier matchups, this is as good as it gets.
Listen, like you said, they did not want Cardinals Giants in the NLDS. If that was the matchup, I don't know if that was going to be the matchup.
Dodgers, yeah, Dodgers Giants,
yeah.
First of all, the Dodgers get ratings, and then even though the Giants don't get national ratings, Giants versus Dodgers does.
The Giants versus Dodgers, it goes all the way back to both teams, their days in New York.
It
carries over. Yeah, that's still.
You know how much they're going to hype it up, and again, there's going to be the dugouts emptied in this series for sure.
Anyway, okay.
Also, it's just now a bunch of my time is going to be taken up because I cannot miss a minute of this series. Let's get back to Many Saints of Newark. But I want to bring this up. Rachel, I think this is a perfect thing to talk about because
Rachel,
this
good
is
job.
perfect because Rachel, you watched the movie, you've seen a few episodes years ago, probably not fresh in your mind. So Rachel's question is regarding Many Saints of Newark. Was there some subtext between Tony and his mom? Were they talking abuse or just what he wanted more of her, that he wanted more of her attention? So Keith, you dive into this like we really get into this in season 1 and season 2?
Season 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Yes.
season 1 and 2.
Well, Rachel, I'll tell you this. Watch if you have time, if you can find time, try to watch season 1 and season 2. You can just watch both those seasons, and this movie will be totally different for you. But yes,
I mean, I'll say really quick, a brief summary. Part of the reason why Tony's so messed up is because of his relationship with his mother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, let's just say this. Every list you can find on the internet of the worst TV parents of all time, she's number one. She's number one.
She's the worst. And
absolutely.
Like, if you thought she was a bad parent in the movie, she's as like the absolutely worst parent in the show.
she's got the bad parent Infinity Stones by the time the show comes around, and she's at full power, and she's just the worst the mother could probably be. Well, not the worst, but you know what I mean. Well, the worst. But so the show is basically, it's predicated on Tony being in therapy, right? Like he has the panic attack, which he reveals that he's been having since he was a kid. And again, a lot of it because of his mom. So he goes to therapy, and that's where all that stuff gets revealed, where he talks about his relationship with his mom, which also leads to his relationships with women as well. In particular, the salesperson that he was having the affair with, who Dr. Melfi, his therapist, said eerily similar to his mother. But yes, they have this relationship where she's very manipulative. Oh my gosh, talking is hard. Manipulative.
Yeah.
And she definitely has. She's a sociopath. She essentially, but she's one of those people that she makes herself. Everything is about her. She makes herself the victim in everything. When we saw that in that scene in the movie where they're trying to be nice, where his guidance counselor is talking to her, tells her the story of how Tony, one of his favorite memory of his was when she read to him.
Dude, her explaining that scene, like, that was one of the best scenes in the movie, even though Tony wasn't in the scene.
No, exactly. And you notice how when the teacher or when the guidance counselor is like, do you remember a book called, and she didn't even let her finish. She immediately said no. Like she didn't want to even think about it.
So I think this is important to note. I think one of the flaws of this movie, they made it too reliant on fans of the show. Because look, we have people like Rachel. If you watched Jeremy John's review on YouTube, he's only seen season 1.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, like reviewers and then people like Rachel, watched this movie without watching the series.
And had so many questions.
I think they should have made it, and I hate to compare everything to the MCU, but like an MCU movie where like you can watch it and not have seen anything else and still
get it.
Enjoy the movie. Maybe that's one flaw, but who else? But also at the same time, who's buying tickets to see this movie? Soprano fans. I get it. This is the one property where you could make it reliant on the series, but I think you could have made it. You could have either added stuff to explain situations like the relationship with the mother, or maybe not touch on that.
Well, we'll get to the reactions later because, boy, a lot of Sopranos fans people do not like this movie, which I'm very
really. Do they not like? Do they think it's a bad movie, or they don't like what happens in the movie?
Both. People are. I'm stunned at people's reactions to this. I'm like, what did you? I think a lot of people just wanted shootouts and they wanted all the
violence, but we got that stuff. There wasn't. Look, if you want the mafia crime stuff, we get an awesome shootout in the street. We get the freaking what is that tool with the
Oh,
The
oh
the,
God,
the thing that takes the
the
bolts off
yeah,
of that scene made me.
the hydraulic drill. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sure
that was
Rachel
some,
didn't like that scene. She's always saying that we like
oh,
violent stuff,
Rachel
but
didn't like that stuff. That's why.
and
Listen,
honestly,
Rachel.
violence is the last reason I like Sopranos.
Oh, absolutely.
Look. Don't get me wrong. The violence is cool. It adds to the show, and they have to have violence in the show. But I'm just saying, like, if somebody asks me why do you like Sopranos, there's 10 other things I'm going to mention before I mention the violence.
The violence, it's not gratuitous or over the top. You're dealing with the mob, so there's just you're going to get violent stuff that happens, and so, but we'll talk about the fan reactions later. But no, but the stuff with his mom, oh my gosh, what were we saying? Oh yeah, so she, you'll get that if you can get in season 1 and 2, you'll really get that whole thing of Tony's relationship with his mom. The actress unfortunately passed away right before season 3, so they couldn't go really too much further. But it lingers. It's throughout the whole show. I mean, his issues with his mom, and just the way he is, like I said, with women, and the way he is with his own kids, because he's opposite. Like, for every fault that Tony has, and he's a terrible, terrible person, but he loves his kids.
It's so funny that, like, I love this character, one of the best characters ever, but he's a terrible person. Like, it's so funny to me. But it's the same thing. Like, same with Walter White. Like, he's a bad guy.
Tony Soprano, and that's what's brilliant about the way James Gandolfini played him, is that, and so many people have mentioned this about him, but like, he is a terrible, terrible person, but you root for him. Like, he cheats on his wife all the time. He's a mob boss.
I mean, all of these guys cheat on their wives. They go out in public with their, what do they call it? What's their
Gumar?
Their Gumar. Yeah, they go out in public with their Gumar.
But the thing is, you root for him. Like, you find yourself, or I certainly did. I found myself being like rooting for him to evade the FBI and not get in trouble with the law, or I find myself, taking his side against was Carmela's, like, getting upset with him for being a terrible husband. I find myself being like, Carmela, you're being too hard on him.
But there was also a lot of times when she get mad at him, there's stuff that she didn't know that we knew as audiences, but he couldn't tell her. So it'd be like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm talking about those stuff like the way he hides money from her. Like I said, obviously he cheats on her regularly. I'm not talking about even business work stuff. I'm just talking about just their personal stuff that he does. Like, he's secretly, like him hiding the money in that thing outside in the yard.
Yeah.
I'd love this. Well, I don't want to spoil for Rachel, but if she ever watches it, but yeah, Christian Harloff mentioned a good thing though. And just speaking of, like I said, talking about certain fans.
Did Christian do a spoiler review?
Yes. Yeah,
I need to go watch that. I know he's really a big Sopranos fan. Yeah,
it's like 30 minutes on the SCN channel. But he said this, and I completely agree. This should have been like an 8-episode miniseries, and it would have been a whole lot better if they would have expanded on a lot of this stuff.
Look, I agree with that, but at the same time, I kind of like that we got a movie in the Sopranos universe.
Oh, me too.
You know what I mean?
Me too. Yeah. I completely agree, hopefully they do more, and hopefully soon. But I agree, because let's talk about, like, Leslie Odom, right? His character, who
first of all, Leslie Odom was amazing in this movie.
Awesome, was he not? He was so good,
so good. And I love that
he's going to be in Knives Out 2.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
I know we knew that this movie was set in the backdrop of the race wars
riots.
And the race riots in New Jersey during this time. Yeah. And like, we knew that was like the plot of the movie basically, but I love that it was like a good 25% aspect of the movie. And I thought it added a good element to it. I don't know.
Yes. So, well, the whole thing about the dynamic that, like, he used to work for Uncle Dickie, and then he got like a murder charge and went down to North Carolina to evade it. And I guess he linked up with Frank Lucas down there, who was a famous black mob boss or crime boss back in the day. Denzel Washington played him in American Gangster. That's the character that Denzel played. I thought for a while that he was going to be Frank Lucas, but anyway. and he comes back and he starts his own thing, and which is really interesting. And the fact that he sleeps with Uncle Dickie's girlfriend, which was, I mean, all that Christian Harloff, again, I referenced him again. He made a good point. All that stuff alone could have been the movie, like could have been a whole movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
See, and that's what I'm saying. And they didn't really. They had the shootout in the street because they each kill each other's one of each other's guys, which leads to that shootout. But they didn't really resolve, like the fact that he slept with his girlfriend. Like that's a big we're
like
talking.
He
about,
never confronted him about it.
Right. And
I know what you mean, and I get it. It feels like a 8-episode miniseries that was squeezed into a movie.
Sure,
in a way.
Yeah,
like it feels like we're missing scenes. Like we're just getting the summary of these events.
It's like they just open up this. They open up the bottle and they just leave it there on the table, and they don't really, or they just open the door and they don't really. And there's a few things of that, but so obviously the way that character ends, like you see him like he's taken over, like it's like the kind of a. Not a post-credit scene, but kind of like right before the credits where they show he's going to be the new guy in that part of town. And so it seems like there's going to be a clash. Like,
so is that character, is he in the series?
No. I thought he was that Reverend character, that Tony does business with, but that's not him. He plays a different character.
So was this to show like the African-American
side of
crime side of the town, like emerging basically?
Yes, because they reference it a lot, especially like in season 1. Like they do talk about the race riots, and they talk about how
and by that time we're in the 2000s, right? So it's like it wasn't like racism, it was still bad, but not as bad as it was in the 60s or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah And it so and hope, like I said, I wanted to get a little bit more into that. I felt like I was expecting more of that, but and more of the stuff just dealing with the family, the crime family, the DeMeo crime family, I think they're called.
Yeah,
because you get a little bit like the whole thing of like Johnny and Uncle Junior, kind of running things, and the way Johnny, because they mentioned it, like he was a real big earner, and that they moved up to the suburbs, and like the way Johnny Soprano was like the man in town. Junior was always kind of exactly. He was. We'll talk about him. He was really great. They redid that scene from when he gets arrested at the carnival or whatever. I don't remember what season that was.
Yeah.
And Janice is crying. And
wow. I just, what's funny is I thought that looked familiar.
Yeah.
And they now that you mention it, it was in the series.
They redid. Yeah, it was in the show. Yeah. Yeah, they did it. It was slightly different, but
because they showed the flashback in the show of the point was to show that Tony thought that his dad favored Janice and he would always take her with him to go do stuff. But we find out that you mentioned to me is that it was like the mob guys, they would bring their daughters. Like to go do this fun stuff, and the daughters would go play or whatever, and they would have their meetings and things like that.
Exactly. So that's exactly it. And Rachel, if you're wondering too, the dynamic, the relationship between Tony and his sister Janice literally also runs all through. She shows up in season 2, right at the beginning of season 2, and she's there.
She's not a good person either.
One of the worst characters.
What's
on the show?
Funny, Keith, is like I forgot they have another sister.
Yeah, the younger one.
Because in the show,
Barbara,
or in the movie, they show another baby.
She's a baby.
And I'm like, at first I was like, what the hell? They have another sibling? I was like, oh yeah, it's the other sister who got out of the life. She left. Never was involved in it.
She said she didn't want anything to do with any of it.
And isn't she like doing very well for herself? Like just
she lives like in like Maine or something, and she married a successful professional person.
And she's successful herself too.
And she's like I think
on her own.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think she might be a therapist, but I
remember when she shows up, like she's like, she basically like takes no bullshit. She's like, no, like, look, don't involve me in this stuff. Like I got out. Like you guys do you, I do me.
She tells Janet and Tony like whatever you guys figure it out. Like well, Janet for her. I mean, Janet left too. She left and moved she traveled around the world and was really like a hippie.
But she comes back and gets involved in everything.
Comes back and is as manipulative as her mother, if not more. So, yeah, she's a terrible, terrible character, but played very well by Ada Turturro. It was very, very good.
To be fair, are there any good people in this universe, in this world? I mean, other than maybe his kids, Tony's kids?
No. Okay.
Again, well, hold on. What's the daughter's name again?
Meadow.
You think Meadow's a bad person?
She's probably the best. She's terrible at first. She's a real brat, and she's a real smart aleck, and she's really super rebellious.
But she's a kid, though.
Well, but you can see that little rebellion.
But when she gets older, she's really.
As she gets older, she
doesn't really intentionally cause any trouble to anybody.
No, but she's one of those. She's one of those characters where it's you can say the same thing about Carmela, where like she knows what her dad does. And she still is like, well, oh well. Like she doesn't like it, but she's also like, well,
what are they gonna do? They're not gonna go turn their dad in, No,
they don't have to do that. But it could be one of those things where you can't. And this is what you can say about Carmela. Like you can complain about the stuff, but you're enjoying the fruits of the lifestyle. Like you got
that's a good point. But look, if I don't blame the kids though, they're born into it. Like they literally don't know anything else. So
but again, we just talked about.
But what is she supposed to do? Say, you guys are terrible people. I'm out of here. Like, what is she supposed to do?
What we just mentioned Tony's sister. That's what she did. That's what his sisters. They did exactly that. As soon as they could, they left.
But look, I don't think that makes Meadow a bad person though.
No, not a bad person.
Where like even Carmela, it can kind of borderlines on being a bad person too.
Again, it makes them complicit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're going to take the fruits of it. You got to take the bad as well. And you have to bear some responsibility. Carmela had several opportunities to leave and she didn't, a lot of
Tony, I mean, obviously the sister
Tony would let her
left, but like, are they allowed to just leave and uninvolve themselves?
I was going to say, Tony wouldn't let Carmela leave. He threatened every divorce lawyer in the state.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Yes.
Well, he went and saw all of them. So because once he has a meeting with them, they're not allowed to represent her.
Yes.
I remember
as soon as they said, as soon as she said her name, they were all like, they would freak out and be like, oh no, we can't help you. So, but yeah, we gotta get to, I want to get to Uncle Junior here. Corey Stoll.
Brilliant casting.
Absolutely.
We said it from the day it happened. Look, I love the John Bernthal casting too. Like John Bernthal is one of my favorite actors. I love that casting. But Corey Stoll as Uncle Junior,
oh my gosh,
freaking spot on.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Spot on.
That pettiness. So it's a spoiler review. So we're talking. So we find out that oh, okay. So we should mention up top. So Christopher is narrating this movie. Michael Imperioli. He's narrating this movie from the grave. Okay.
Okay. Can you explain to me why he has a different last name than his dad? I don't understand that.
Moltisanti? No, he doesn't. You're talking about Christopher?
Wait, Christopher
Moltisanti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's his last name. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So wait, what's the Imperioli part?
No, that's the actor, Michael Imperioli.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. I'm tripping. Never mind.
Spider from Goodfellas. Yeah. Michael Imperioli. He's got I don't know if you heard him and he has a podcast with him and I think the actor that is Paulie. Or so, I don't know. But they have a podcast where they're going through each episode of the show, which is really good.
So Gio says this. Yes, Gio. The first thing Keith and I were talking about is if you see Rachel saw the movie. Gio, I don't think you have or not, but the way the movie ends, it is a very open ending.
They're absolutely setting up.
It's not a specific open ending, but it's like, there's more story to tell.
Yes, absolutely. That's the friend. You're right, and that's the first thing we said. It's like I sat there in the seat and was like, they're setting up a new series, a prequel series.
I'll just say it now. I want a series with all the same cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care. Pay John Bernthal, pay Corey Stoll, pay Vera Farmiga.
And you mentioned you don't get a cast like that just to use them just for
look,
this.
I think they intentionally, like, carefully casted the cast,
Yes.
and were like, look, if we can get another series out of this,
Yeah.
look at the actors we have to play these characters.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
look,
Everyone.
I'm cool with everybody, like literally every single person in the movie, but it has to be John Bernthal, Corey Stoll, and Vera Farmiga. Those three
And
have
even
to be there.
listen, and obviously Michael Gandolfini, even
Oh,
Ray
of course,
Liotta.
yeah. I mean, that's a given. Michael Gandolfini is a given. Yeah, like you don't do the series without him.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But even Ray Liotta playing the Hollywood.
Oh, I'm
both.
cool with that.
Yeah,
yeah. Like the character's still around.
Yeah, absolutely. And he may be the only person who is actually aware of. And I really liked his character, the other characters he plays, which was a surprise to me. I had no idea, but he plays two roles.
He played the father and the uncle
and his twin brother, which was a shock to me. But the uncle that's in prison for killing a mate guy, as he says, he's the only person in this entire, whether on the show or in this movie, who is aware of what he is and what he did, and is accepting his punishment and accepting his place. Like he said, I did a bad thing. I'm where I'm supposed to be.
And you know what? Like I kind of knew this, but now you're bringing it like you're making me realize it is that's a juxtaposition to Dickie and to Tony, is that they do all this bad stuff and they then they cover it up, and they're not willing to accept the consequences.
Oh, absolutely. Both of them.
And they pay the price. I mean, we don't know what happened to Tony, but obviously Dickie pays the price for the bad things that he did.
Yes.
And this character's like accepted, like, this is where I am. This is where I belong. Yeah. And I don't know how they would incorporate it. Maybe he gets out. Maybe somebody else, maybe Tony starts to go visit him because he wants to connect to Dickie. And that's his only way to really connect to Dickie, is going to see the uncle.
Yeah.
Like, that's a possibility.
Maybe. Well, the thing is, and because people were complaining, like, this movie is supposed to be about the origin of Tony Soprano, and it's not that.
Nobody ever said that, though.
Yeah, people kept. There's a lot of Jeff Snyder and a bunch of other people were like
the second tier of marketing makes it seem like that.
Yeah,
but if you watch the movie, you understand. Oh, this isn't a Tony origin story. Okay, what is it then? Can I enjoy this for what it is? And that's what you got to do.
Christian made a great point where he's like, no, it absolutely is the origin of Tony.
Okay, it's a spark for the origin of Tony.
Because
it's not the actual witness of it. It's what causes it.
Exactly. Which is the death of his uncle, because his uncle was trying to keep, because Tony didn't want any of that. He had that breakdown at the end where he's throwing the speakers that his uncle gave him, which were stolen, and he didn't want them.
Well,
his uncle made him take. He's like, I don't want anything to do with any of this.
They made that very clear throughout this movie, other than him literally saying that he wants nothing to do with this. And what does he say? He tells the story of his dad was with somebody who got killed. And he's like, I don't want that to happen to me.
I don't want that to happen.
And what's funny,
he saw that guy get shot in the back at the carnival when his dad got arrested.
What's so funny is that the series literally ends with possibly Tony got capped. And it's literally like previewing his fear is ever since he was a boy, he's like, I never want to get killed because of this life. And then that's possibly what happened at the end of the series.
Here's the thing. The movie ends, or at least the last shot of Tony you see is in that diner in the finale.
Yeah.
It's the same diner. which the more I think about it, Tony got killed. He absolutely got killed. They just didn't show it.
Obviously they left it up to the viewer, but I always assumed so.
Everything was building towards that.
Wait, the diner's in the movie?
The last shot of the movie where Tony's waiting for Uncle Dickie, he doesn't know that Uncle Dickie was killed.
Oh my God. I didn't even realize that's the same diner.
That's the same diner.
Wow. That is so funny.
It was like an ice cream shop or something at
Keith,
the time. But
can you answer or comment on this question from Rachel while I take like a quick bathroom break? So just keep talking about this.
Okay. Rachel, yes. Uncle Junior is exactly this. And again, if you watch those first two seasons, Uncle Junior is extremely petty, and he will absolutely do stuff exactly like what he did in this movie. And I will just say this. Tony in season 1 makes there's more to it, obviously, this, and I don't want to spoil too much. But he makes a crack at Uncle Junior's expense, and couple that with a few other things. Junior super did not like it, and Junior had a very similar reaction to that as he did in this movie with when he, let's just put it that way. Junior is a super petty guy, and even though he is a pretty good mafia guy, but good mob boss, Johnny, his brother, Tony's father, was just better than him, and Tony was better than him, and Junior didn't like that. It's one of those things where Uncle Junior was supposed to be the boss, but Tony was really the boss behind the scenes. He was the guy that people were coming to, and Junior didn't like that. And so couple that with Tony making that crack about, I don't want to say what it was about, but he made a crack at him, and Junior had a very similar reaction. And a similar thing almost happened to Tony at the end of season 1. I don't want to, So it's actually, if you are intrigued, I would tell you definitely watch those first 2 seasons. If nothing else, if you want to go further, then you can. But
it's funny because
yes.
Tony has the worst uncle ever and the worst mom ever. I mean,
and they get along. And you see that in this movie.
Then
they super get along.
It's funny because it makes his dad, who's not a good guy either, look like the okay parent, right?
Which he's absolutely not.
He's not, and he doesn't. It's almost like he barely pays attention to Tony, though.
Part of it is that.
Do you think he didn't want him to be involved in this life, and that's why he kind of?
No, he did want him to be involved.
Oh, okay.
And that's part of why he becomes Tony Soprano, is that his dad starts to bring him into it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uncle Dickie was trying to keep him out of it.
Well, at the end of the movie.
Not at the end of the movie. I mean, because Silvio talked him into, but you see that scene where Tony shows up to the warehouse and they won't let him in.
Well, once Dickie's uncle tells him stay out of his life. It's like for like a 20-minute period of the movie, he's like trying to push Tony away. But then he's like, after Silvio talks to him, then is when he has a kind of a change of heart a little bit. Yeah.
And he's like, because to Silvio's like, maybe, he's got a lot of potential with this thing of ours. He could be good.
So if I'm not mistaken, at this point, is Johnny on top? Like he's in charge?
I think he is.
Or are are Dickie and Johnny on equal?
I think they are. Johnny's definitely a captain. And I guess so
maybe Dickie's a cap. Is it a different area of the neighborhood or something? Or?
I think they're both captains, but I don't know which one of them is higher than the other. That's the thing. See, we don't really get into that in the movie. I don't know necessarily.
Yeah.
They're definitely captains. But I don't know who outranks who.
They don't really go into the hierarchy. I definitely don't think Dickie outranks Johnny, but
I don't think
maybe
he does.
Equals.
Well, but the thing is, while Johnny was in prison,
Junior was running stuff.
Well, but Dickie was. You remember when they were in the car bringing him home? He was like, Dickie Maltasanti stepped up. And
that's right. Yeah,
Junior kind of was left behind a little bit because.
So it must be like, I don't know if it's like territory or whatever it is. Like for whatever reason, like Johnny was running this section of the mafia, and Dickie's running this section of the mafia. So Dickie and Johnny were equals.
Yeah.
And then when Johnny went into prison, Junior replaced him, and he was comparing Dickie to Junior, how they handled their captain roles.
I think that's what. Yeah. And then because the same thing happened, if you go back to season 1, Tony went past Junior, even though Junior was in charge. But then Tony kind of started becoming the guy, and everybody was going after Jackie Aprile died.
So Rachel mentioned this earlier. The uncle in prison was the only one who realized Dickie murdered his family and his stepmother. So I was wondering about that. Do you think that he knew, because he acted a little suspicious of Dickie when he would talk about the death of his father and the death of the girlfriend.
Yeah.
So do you think he knew that?
Absolutely.
And he even says like he's trying to make up, like he's trying to do good deeds. So like maybe he realized you killed them both. So,
which is one of those things. And that's because that's the kind of stuff Tony would say to Dr. Melfi. He would talk about all the good stuff he does. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to be this good dad. I'm trying to be a good husband. And meanwhile, obviously Melfi knows, because he tells him she knows what kind of line of work he's in, but he's just delusional about the type of person he really is. He thinks because he does all this good stuff, none of this, he just doesn't acknowledge any of the bad stuff that he does. And Dickie did the same thing. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you, Rachel.
Or maybe they're in charge. Yeah, maybe you looked it up or something, but thank you for that. Maybe they're in charge of different aspects of the mob. I think
it was because like Tony did the construction and he did the garbage routes, and then he was splitting, and then the other bosses were, I think, whoever was in charge of the gambling. I can't remember. I think Christopher might. I think he gave that to Christopher, and the stock market scam they had going, and so there's a bunch of different stuff. So I guess so, but he definitely was a captain. I know that I think they're both definitely were captains, but I just don't know where they were in the pecking order or the chain of command. Cool. So,
all right, Keith, we're probably going to spend like 15 more minutes on Many Saints of Newark. Yeah. So, is there anything else you have to bring up before we get out of here?
Let me get my notes back up here. So Dickie's death. Let's talk about Dickie's death. Now, in the show, Tony tells Christopher that a cop killed his father.
This is a good point.
Obviously, and Rachel, you just mentioned it, but we find out that Uncle Junior had Dickie killed. Now, somebody, and I can't remember where I heard it, somebody may have brought up a good point. I was watching something on YouTube, I don't know, that maybe Tony why did Tony lie to Christopher, right? Like he told him it was a cop.
Well, I asked you that.
You asked that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tony probably just wanted that cop killed.
Oh, I think we'll know us if we just rewatch the season, right? But I think you're right. I think he just
wanted that cop killed. So he's told Christopher, this is the cop that killed your father. He's in that house.
Which is a terrible thing to do,
I know.
To do to Christopher.
Like, to do to Christopher.
Make him
and
think
that cop just retired. Remember, he just retired, I think, like that day or that week or something. Sorry,
I mean, we know that part, Tony has no problem whacking a cop if it's necessary, but I'm just saying, like, to make Christopher think that guy killed his dad.
Yeah. Well, I think he was waiting until that cop retired too, and so that he didn't actually kill a active duty police officer. He waited.
Oh, that's right, because that brings too much attention to them. Yeah.
But well, and because when Christopher goes in the guy's house and says, "Do you remember Dickie Moltisanti?" The guy's like, "I've never heard of him. I don't even know what you're talking about." So I thought that was very interesting, and it's one of those things that I wonder if anyone knows that Junior was the one.
Oh, I mean, this is interesting. Like, what if that's who Uncle Junior paid was that cop?
Okay, I didn't think of that.
That's definitely a possibility.
That's very strong possibility,
because we don't know who did it. I mean, we heard the voice over the phone. It sounded like an Italian guy.
Yeah,
kind of. So
they blurred him out when the shot. Like you can see his hand, and he's obviously has a.
But also, they wanted to make the viewers think that it was maybe somebody from the African American crew. Possibly.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They blurred him out, but you can see his hand on the gun, so you can see that he's not black. So that's the first thing I noted. Yeah.
Oh,
when I watched it the second time, that's what I noticed. Like,
no, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just out of focus, except for his hand with the gun in it. So you can see that it's not a black dude that killed him. Which obviously was intentional.
It's just, I know you talked about this, but it's like, what a despicable character, Uncle Junior. Like, I mean, I guess like they showed moments of like, but it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it just makes Junior so much worse because just because he was look, don't get me wrong. I don't want somebody laughing at me if I slip and hurt my back and I'm injured forever, but I'm not going to put a hit out on them.
Well, it wasn't just that though. It wasn't just that. Yeah. That was the thing that tipped him over the edge. But it was also, he made a joke about him earlier in the movie. He made a joke about Junior's girlfriend was sleeping with somebody else.
This all after? This was all after Dickie's dad dies, and when Junior tells him, "Consider me your brother." So do we?
I can't remember if it was that, but it was early in the movie.
Remember after Dickie kills his dad, and they're at the funeral, and then he's like, and then Dickie's like, "You have your brother, I have nobody," and then he's like, "Consider me your brother from now on."
Consider me your brother from now on. Yeah, yeah.
So do we feel like, Junior was very nice to Dickie during that funeral and all that?
In the funeral, yes. But there was a point. Well, and I can't remember if this.
So was Dickie over the line being a douche to Junior all the time, or was Junior over the line getting him whacked?
Well, so there was all of that. Also, he made the joke about Junior's girlfriend sleeping with somebody else.
That's true. And then somebody makes a joke about his girl messing somebody else, and he beats the guy to death before his face gets blown off.
Well, but then on top of that, though, like I said, while Johnny was in prison, Dickie kind of shot up and was out earning Junior, and kind of
that's true,
moved up ahead of him. So I think Junior wanted to get him out of the way.
Absolutely. You know what? We talked after the movie, and obviously, like, first viewing, you don't catch everything. But, like, we talked after the movie, I was like, they should have set it up a little bit more to where he despises Dickie. But you're right. As soon as Johnny gets out of prison, he says, look at Dickie. He stepped up. He's earning more than you. And then he laughs at him when he hurts his back, makes fun of his girlfriend. You're right. They did a little bit better job of that than I thought they did.
Yes. Yeah.
Question
I caught all that the second time.
Does Tony ever realize that Dickie killed his own father?
I don't know. I don't think he does.
I think he got away with that. And look, they used the race riots conveniently in this movie for him to cover up his father's death, but also to set up the Leslie Odom Jr. character and the conflict between them, and also make us think that obviously he had a conflict with the African-American crew, and they easily, for a brief part of the movie, made us think that that's who killed Dickie,
Exactly.
And but which makes it all the better when Junior goes out to that payphone and we find out that it's actually Junior. That was good storytelling. It was like the twist of the movie, basically. And it's like, knowing the Junior character, we should have saw that coming.
Well, and just for Rachel, if you get into the series, there are a lot of these deaths like this. Tony kills a lot of people, and no one ever finds out that Tony killed this person. And I don't want to spoil. There's one particular, I don't know if you know, talking about over a horse. Mm-hmm. There was a certain death over a horse that, and no one ever. No, Christopher knew because Christopher helped him clean it up.
Yeah.
But other than that, no one knows. No one knows what happened to Big Pussy. Well, the three guys knows what happened to him.
Of course, yeah.
No one else knows. Who else? There's a couple of those. There's a lot of those deaths throughout the series where people don't find out what happened. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's another the line. So there's a line too. I want to bring up. Christopher says right at the end of the movie, "That's the guy, my Uncle Tony, the guy I went to hell for."
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a line that was in the show. I think season 1. Or it might have been season 2, where Christopher says that to Adriana, where he says, "That's the guy, Adriana, my Uncle Tony, the guy I'm going to go to hell for."
Really? Oh my goodness! See, there's so much more connective tissue than I thought there was. And shout out to Adriana. She's actually one of my favorite characters in the series. I don't want to say any more than that, but shout out to that character.
She might have been.
You're right. As far as the good person.
She might have been.
Like, even more than Meadow?
Because she was, because she was trying to get Christopher out.
You know what? I always like that character. And
yes. And for all that.
She's actually, you're right. She's one of the only good people in the whole series.
And for all that, I'm not going to spoil. I'm just going to say this. For all that the authorities were trying to do to her, she never. She never, did what they wanted her to do. So, I'll just leave it at that. But so she's a great character. I agree. I was with you on that.
So that actress, she's also in Sons of Anarchy, which you need to watch, Keith.
Okay,
which you definitely you need to watch. And she's great in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Amazing character.
Cool.
Like
Okay. I didn't know that.
amazing character. So you got to watch that. Awesome. Well, I can't think of anything specific that I want to talk about, but I just
Yeah.
like I need to rewatch this movie because I just think that there's so many things, like even the little subtle things, like teeing up the Dickie and Junior kind of conflict
Rivalry
and
a
those
little
type
bit.
of things.
Yeah.
Like what I noticed, but I didn't realize it in my first viewing, like that it actually was leading to this moment or what happened. So there's a lot of stuff like that, which
Yeah.
I need to just sit back, relax, and watch the movie again.
I
A
want to
couple
watch it
times.
again. Yeah, I want to watch it. Probably.
And
I'm gonna watch
honestly,
it.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch the movie a couple more times, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
rewatch the series. I have to.
100%. That's
have
why
to.
I said I started watching like halfway through season 1 after we saw the movie. I spent the whole Saturday. I watched half season 1 and almost all season 2, and I picked up so many references that I forgot about just watching the series and stuff that made sense that is definitely referenced in the movie just in those first 2 seasons. I just was
Keith,
like, oh man,
did we just come up with we're gonna do a
rewatch
series reviews?
We talked about that.
We
talked
did.
about
We
that.
actually did talk about that. I don't know
Yeah.
if we could do every episode, but I think we could do every season.
That's what we should do. I think
We're
that's what
doing
we
it.
said. I think that was your idea from before.
We did
yeah.
talk about it. We're doing
Yeah.
it. All right. That you
That's
heard it here first. We
Okay.
are gonna go, and I mean, I don't mind doing this. I don't know if you
Not at
have
all.
time. I don't mind doing
100%.
this at all. And
I'll
it
make
gives
time.
it gives me a reason to watch it again.
Absolutely.
So how about we do we'll do like a separate video on our channel.
Yeah.
That's just like rewatch review of Sopranos season 1, and we'll go through every season. And because like this movie makes me want to rewatch the series and just get all involved, and that way when I talk about the Sopranos in the future, if there's ever a sequel series or a sequel movie, I know what the hell I'm talking about.
We'll be fully
you know what I
versed.
mean? I mean,
You're
you're well versed.
So
you're well versed, but it's like a whole lore of its own.
Yeah, and there's so much that I've forgotten. It's been years since I've watched it. I've watched it start to finish at least twice, and then I would just watch episodes here and there. But yeah, I would love to watch it again. I wanted to try to watch it all before this movie came out, but I just didn't make time to do it. But I just started watching.
Yeah, there's no way. There's
some of my favorite episodes, but yeah. I think it's a great idea.
Our goal.
100%.
That's our goal, Rachel. Get one person to watch The Sopranos, and hey, we'll do it. Like maybe give us maybe a month per season. I would say
absolutely. Yeah, that'll work.
And we'll recap every season. 1 through 6B.
Yep.
And then maybe we'll do okay, what did we miss in the movie that was actually connected to the series? And we can do a little video on that. I'm excited about it. Any last thoughts on the Many Saints of Newark? This won't be the last time we talk about it.
No.
We literally just said we're going to start a Sopranos podcast. So I'm down.
Basically, yeah. I have no problem with that at all. Junior says the line because there's a lot of talk about Tony playing football. He keeps saying he doesn't.
So they spent a lot of dialogue on Tony going to the pros, or wanting to play football at all, basically.
Which is what he wanted to do. I think he did go to Rutgers because he said several times, "I want to go to college." I think
they referenced that in the show, but they really dived into it in this movie.
I think I can't fully remember. I think he did get hurt and he wound up not playing. I can't fully remember, but I know he did try to play. Yeah. But Junior always said he never had the makings of a varsity athlete. They say that line in this movie.
He wanted to be a defensive back, right?
I think he was a lineman.
Oh, okay.
I think he was a lineman, yeah. But yeah, Junior. That's a line that Junior said on the show a lot, just to get under Tony's skin. You never had the makings of a varsity athlete, and it would really piss Tony off a lot. So I thought that was really good. They said it in the movie a few times. So yeah. And like I said, I got to think about, the diner. I think, Christopher as a baby, which
that
scene was
a little bit, but
very eerie. But it's an eerie scene where it's like
they basically look in the show. There's a lot like we talked about. There's a lot of religious, themes in the show.
Yes.
This movie basically confirms that like in their world, like the afterlife and all that stuff exists.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Like, look, this is a fictional world, right? So they could say in this world that this stuff exists.
Yeah.
And they're saying that like Christopher, the I don't know who it was, another aunt or another grandma or something says like, babies, they can sense stuff from the other side.
From the other
so
side.
like that baby knows that this is the guy who kills me later on in life.
And that leads me to it. I compare when I was thinking about it later, watching it the second time. I thought about the scene, and you know what I'm talking about in Attack of the Clones, when Obi-Wan Kenobi says to Anakin, "Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?"
Wow.
And I remember seeing that.
Thinking.
I remember seeing that in the theater, and there was a real chuckle in the theater. Like everyone kind of chuckled at that, which was funny. It was a good line. I actually enjoyed that. So that's what that reminded me of. Like when the baby's just crying and crying and crying. I hope we didn't spoil what happens to Christopher. I mean, well, the movies that spoiled.
No, the movie spoils it
immediately. I was gonna say right in the first 10 seconds of the movie.
They show his grave.
Yes. So, but I'm not gonna spoil how that happens because it's very tragic.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Hard
but
to watch.
Also, probably necessary because Christopher was really spiraling.
It's interesting. It's like, how could you ever do that? But I get it. But at the same time, you're like, I get it.
Christopher was definitely a loose unit, and he was definitely spiraling.
Would you say he's the second main character in the series?
Ooh, good question.
I think he is.
I think it's between him and Dr. Melfi.
Because there's a lot of, I think it has to be Christopher, man. He has more screen time, and he
does.
There's chunks where they're like only focusing on Christopher and like stuff that Tony has nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think it's definitely
Dr. Melfi's up there. Yeah. Carmela's up there too, as one of the main characters.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she definitely is. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think maybe. I think Christopher definitely would be
like if you had to choose a second lead of the series.
Yeah,
probably
certainly. Yeah.
But
it seems like it was all being
up there.
It seemed like it was all sort of leading to Tony's going to pass all this on to Christopher, but also Christopher doesn't think he's respected the way he should be, and he's often jealous that Tony is where he is, and Christopher does all the work that he does.
I mean,
doesn't move up
for like the entire series. I think like if you were to make. I mean, Uncle Junior's huge, but he does take a back seat later on in the series as well.
Yeah,
Uncle Junior. Like if you were to just do top 2 characters in the first 2 seasons, Uncle Junior might be number 2.
I would say Tony's mother is number 2.
No, she's huge too.
Because it'd be pretty close. It's between those.
All right. We got to move on, but let's. Many Saints of Newark. I
love it.
It's not perfect. But I freaking love it because it's part of a universe that I love, and it's also I think they did a good job with it.
Yes, completely.
Good job, Alan Taylor.
Yeah, totally. He did a great job directing. Obviously, these are characters in a world.
My favorite Alan Taylor movie.
Listen, if
that's saying something.
Well, he's done so much. I don't know. And I know there was a teaser for this Game of Thrones prequel I haven't watched. I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones guy. I'm not, but I know he did a lot of work on that show. I wonder if
he did. A lot of the Game of Thrones work led to Thor: The Dark World and stuff. Yeah.
I wonder if he'll be involved in the prequel series. Also, I would imagine so. I mean,
maybe. Why not? I mean, he's a good director. Like when he's in his comfort zone, I think.
And he's big on HBO. He's a big HBO guy. I mean, they use him a lot for a lot.
Oh, yeah. I think he worked. Was it the writer or him that we were talking about Boardwalk Empire? Maybe both.
Both. He did both.
Yeah,
he did
maybe both. All right, Keith. So I think just to wrap up today's show, I think we just cover homework assignments and get out of here, man.
Yes.
And then going forward, we'll do the full show, all the segments and all that stuff. So if you and like I said, if you want to hear us talk more Sopranos, this will not be the last time. and this will not be the
Definitely.
last time we talk Many Saints of Newark for sure. But let's get into homework assignments. And this was about 2 months ago. So last time we did homework assignments, Keith assigned me to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, and our rule is for 30-minute episode shows, we do the first 4 episodes. For hour-long shows, we do the first 2 episodes. So I did watch the first 4 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I challenged Keith to a movie, Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. I'll go real quick on Avatar: The Last Airbender. When I was a kid, I saw episodes here and there, never watched like the whole thing.
Yeah.
But so just to give some context, like Netflix, like a lot of stuff has left Netflix. Like I used to watch Parks and Rec on Netflix, The Office on Netflix. Like the only things like on my continue watching on Netflix right now are Lucifer, because I just finished the last season of Lucifer, which almost made me cry. But then also is Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's the only 2 things I'm like, literally, I'm not like, I don't even go into Netflix for anything else right now. But there's actually some stuff I want to watch on Netflix, but just haven't got to it yet. Yes, Rachel, we're going to get into the Rear Window in a second. But Avatar: The Last Airbender, look, I'll say off the bat, look, it's an animated Nickelodeon show. So it is geared towards kids. And you get that silly kid stuff in there. Can't deny that.
Art of the animated series.
But I'll tell you what. I liked the idea of Avatar when I was a kid. I've seen the movie. But this mythology is some of the best mythology I've ever seen. There's like we have these things that we love, right? Like we love Star Wars in the mythology. We love Lord of the Rings in the mythology.
Yes.
This, and we love Harry Potter in the mythology. Not going to leave you guys out there.
Yep.
Especially we got Keith and Rachel here. But this has the potential to be up there with those things.
Best. It's the best.
I don't say that lightly. Like, and it's crazy, man. Like, it's so. Can you imagine if they did like a live action series, like with all? They are. But they got to get it right. I mean, look, M. Night Shyamalan, whatever. But
the creators. Let me just say this: the creators are not involved with the Netflix one, though.
No, they were, and then they left, which is over creative differences or whatever. So, but you know what? They were involved in the movie, though.
Yes,
you know that.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes,
they were. So look, there's these little kitty things throughout the episodes.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's a Nickelodeon show.
It's not going to be all dark and brooding all the time. And the main character is like, even though he's been alive for a long time, he's a child,
12-year-old kid,
and he acts like a child.
Yes,
but I am. Like I watched the first 4 episodes and then I like haven't watched much since then, but I'm going to watch the whole entire series now. And look, if anything, like that's the biggest win you can hope for. If you challenge me to watch 4 episodes of something and then I tell you now I have to watch the rest of it, that's a win. So I'll just say I like the character so far. I like the setup. But the biggest thing for me is the mythology. It's like, there's other things out there that have tried to create this epic mythology, but they can't get there. This is there.
Yes.
And I know, and it's funny because isn't it an original just animated show created for Nickelodeon? Completely and I love that because a lot of this stuff comes from novels from decades ago or things like that. And they literally created this show as an animated show for Nickelodeon, and that's the source material.
Yep.
And I love that. So I think it has so much potential. And they can, like Netflix, they have famously said for years, they're looking for their Star Wars, for their Harry Potter. This could be it.
So the creators, they're starting their own, I think it's called Avatar Productions. And they're going to create a whole universe.
So that's what's interesting to me. But the Netflix series is still going to happen, though, and they're not involved.
It is, and they're not involved. Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting. But I think part of the reason that they just decided to start their own production company and they're going to have a whole shared universe, probably going in.
So I
each
basically
direction.
think what happened is like they basically already agreed to like make this show with Netflix, so Netflix is still going to make it.
Yes.
So I'm wondering is this going to be connected to their stuff at all?
I think it's no. I don't think it is. I think it's similar to how like the Netflix Marvel shows are. Even though they're Marvel shows, they're Netflix.
Oh,
shows.
I see. That
So
makes
Netflix,
it. That's a good way of explaining it.
Yeah, I think it's similar to that.
That's a good way of explaining it. That's unfortunate.
So
like I'd rather there just be like one vision, like, and I don't care if it's Netflix or the original creators, but it seems like we're going to get a little bit of both. But you're right. That news did break a while ago that they started their own production. And you know what hurt this property the most? Other than the movie?
What's that?
James Cameron's Avatar.
Agree.
It's just a branding thing.
Yep.
Like because I used to watch Nickelodeon when I was the show premiered when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it caught my eye. Like I said, watched episodes here and there. But yeah. And to me, the word Avatar is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
When the movie came,
and
100%.
now James Cameron makes Avatar the highest grossing movie of all time at the time, and now it's a huge big franchise that he's going to make 6 sequels to. Avatar, and now they can't even use the word Avatar.
Avatar, yeah, that's why the movie's called The Last Airbender.
Like they ruined it for them.
Yep. That's why I was super annoyed at the time. I was like, this is not Avatar. The Last Airbender is Avatar. I was very annoyed with that when that movie came out, which is part of the reason why I was down on it for years, because I just didn't like that. It's actually
no, it is. Avatar's not a bad movie. It's not a Best Picture worthy movie, but it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie.
Highest grossing movie of all time, good movie either. I don't understand.
But it's like, damn. Whatever. Like the word Avatar should be associated with this franchise, not that one.
And at the
I've
time,
always
too,
felt that way.
That confusion was a lot of that confusion at the time when James Cameron's Avatar came out. There was a lot of that where people thought it was this. So yeah,
and they literally can because of that, they can't ever name a proper they can't, if they do a movie or a show, they can't call it Avatar.
Well, yeah, like I said, that's why the movie's called The Last Airbender, and that's it.
Yeah,
which. And that's what it is. I mean, it's because that's what the story is about. But
yeah, look, Gio's a big supporter of James Cameron's Avatar, but Gio, this was out first. Avatar: The Last Airbender was out first.
Way before. They used that word. They came up with this. They got it from some mythology. I can't remember where. All that's in this book, which is very good. But no, the only reason the word Avatar exists in pop culture is because of them. Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Kuznetsko. But did you note who directed the first 2 episodes?
No.
I told you to watch the credits and note the director of the first 2 episodes.
Damn it, I failed.
Dave Filoni.
Oh my goodness, are you serious?
Yep.
Wow.
This is where George Lucas discovered him. Was from this show.
Dude, what a legend.
Yes.
Dave Filoni, what legend.
He was heavily involved in the first season. He directed a few episodes, and I think
hey, Mark Hamill voices the uncle of the fire.
He voices the Fire Lord, the father, Zuko's father.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
the Fire Lord, right?
Yeah.
Is he the guy who's eating all the time?
No,
making jokes. Oh, that's not him.
I don't.
Okay.
No, he's not. He doesn't show him that much in the first season, but until the end.
Oh, okay.
But then he goes on further. But yeah, Mark Hamill.
So look. I'm gonna continue watching The Last Airbender, and we'll do weekly, or we'll do episode every time we have an episode. We'll do a check-in.
Jacob, you've warmed my heart. You warmed my heart. This is my favorite thing out of everything. You know, I love Lord of the Rings. I love The Matrix. I love it. Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite.
What?
My favorite thing.
Hold on a second. Look, how old were you when Avatar came out?
Oh, I was an adult. I was probably 25, maybe.
That has nothing to do with it. I'm just curious.
No.
I'm just wondering, so
I used to put it on.
Is your favorite property?
Yes.
As far as this, like you love this more than Star Wars?
Yes, because it's way more consistent. These 3 seasons of this show, and when you get to the end of this first series, you'll see what I'm talking about. Hopefully, you'll see. You'll at least understand. You probably won't be where I am, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Yes,
That makes
yes,
sense.
that's exactly right.
Sense, yeah.
And that's what Aang, the Avatar, is reborn every.
Like the Avatar is, yeah.
He's
So that makes
reincarnated
sense.
every. But anyway, so yeah, but yeah, the character development, Prince Zuko, and I've said this before, and nobody knew what I was talking about. But now that you're watching the show, you'll get it. The character of Prince Zuko it's the best character development of anything, movie, TV show, whatever. It is
More than
best,
Tony Soprano.
It's the best arc it's one of the best arcs that has ever been done in anything.
Wow. Okay.
Look,
trust me.
I'm not just saying that. I promise
you're talking to a guy who's like number 2 favorite mythology ever is Power Rangers. So listen, and people make fun of it, and I think the mythology of Power Rangers is amazing to me. So like this, I'll never make fun of, like, how could you like a kid's show? Like, no, that's not that. I was just curious, like, what age did you experience this at?
Well, I used to, when my kids were little, I used to put it on for them. But you're
like, wait a minute, what are they watching? Like,
that's exactly what happened.
What did they just say? And you're like, wait, I got to go back and watch episode 1.
That's exactly what happened. They were little. So they didn't really, they would watch it. They would watch all the action and the fight scenes. So they didn't really get into the story stuff. But I would sit there and like, I'd be sitting there watching it like, oh, wow, this is. And I'd be the next episode. I'd be like, okay, let's get to the next. And so, and I just went and bought the. I'll
tell you
box
what,
sets.
I like from the first 4 episodes. I get it. I told you, it's the mythology is on par with, like, it has, and there's not room for 15 different great mythologies. There's just not, because they get repetitive a lot, right? Like, I'm talking, this can be like a top 5 mythology and storytelling.
I promise you, by the time you get to the end of this series, and we haven't even talked about Legend of Korra, which is just as good. But
interesting.
I'm telling you, you'll see what I'm talking about.
No,
look, put it this way.
I'm done with Lucifer season 6, so I need something else to keep watching.
I have the box set on DVD and Blu-ray. I have both.
And you have it on Netflix.
And it's on Netflix. And then we sit and watch on Netflix. We'll just watch random episodes all the time. So I'm telling you, it's that good. I wish my daughters were here. All 4 of them. They love it. I'm telling you, it's one of the best things. But
maybe one day you'll be behind the camera of a Avatar project.
That would be a dream.
One day.
Maybe my daughter Charlize, that'd be something she would love to do. So,
and maybe one day I will remake a direct remake of Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. I don't know who has the rights to that, but but yes. So like we will talk about Avatar: Last Airbender again in the future. Stay tuned. But all right, Keith, we got about 5 to 10 minutes or so.
Yep.
I've been wanting you to watch Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window for years. I remember when I was in my Alfred Hitchcock class at Sac State, I would tell you about it all the time.
Yep.
I would tell you about all the movies that we would watch. We watched about 12 Alfred Hitchcock movies. And recently on this podcast, I've asked you to watch movies like Rebecca, which is, I still think Rebecca's my favorite, but these are my top 2 Alfred Hitchcock's films, Rebecca and Rear Window. So what did you think of Rear Window?
This movie was such a joy. Like I watched it twice. I watched it again. I watched it the next day.
That's awesome.
It was so much fun. It was stressful. I was like people say, I was gripping my seat. I was like, like, oh man, he's the master. It's not breaking any news. I mean, he's the master of suspense. The suspense is so good. It's so Jimmy Stewart is so great in this movie.
Yes.
Gosh, I mean, Grace Kelly. Come on, I mean, she's great. I loved her. Listen, great in To Catch a Thief. which I really enjoy. I like that movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of my favorite movies. I can just say that right now. Just like
Ever? Like not just Alfred Hitchcock?
I think it is. It might be.
Oh,
I
wow.
loved it. It was so good.
Wow, yes.
That's a long list, but I love this. I really did. And
That's awesome.
I loved North by Northwest a lot. This is, which is equally as exciting. But this one was, man, it's all just in this one apartment, and
that's the brilliance of it. It's the apartment complex, and how he can see everybody else's balcony from. Man, so good.
The shots are incredible. It's just great storytelling, great acting, obviously, by everyone. Oh, it's so good. And it's just the ending is just like the last like 30 minutes are just like Mm-hmm. You know, Raymond Burr. I had no idea Raymond Burr was.
It's funny because like most casual movie fans, they'll never go back and watch a 50s movie, right? Like they just wouldn't, because it's just the way a lot of people are. But like this will keep you on the edge of your seat more than most movies that come out these days. It just
it was. Listen, I really enjoyed being at it. I was just annoyed with Jimmy Stewart because he's got this beautiful woman, clearly loves him, or at the very least just really, really likes him. And he's like, I'm gonna break up with her. I don't think she wants to.
Yeah, see,
like, what is wrong with you? Like Grace Kelly is like coming over and being like, hey,
look, this is a good point. Is like, and a lot of Hitchcock movies aren't just the thriller aspect of it. There's other story elements going on. And I go back and forth between this and Rebecca. I mean, I like every Hitchcock movie that I've seen, but to me, Rebecca is the most unique Hitchcock movie because a lot of his movies are like, oh, there's a mystery. They're like it. They're very similar. A lot of his movies are very similar. Like there's a mystery, there's an adventure, whatever there is, and then like they conclude. But Rebecca's very like it's just on a different level to me as far as like storytelling. But this like Rear Window, it's not just a thriller. Like it has depth too.
Absolutely. And Rachel just hit it.
And this is a good point because he's not just thinking like, oh, I don't like her. Like there's more to it than that.
She won't like him, like because she's kind of she's a bit of a socialite, you know, and she's kind of
but she keeps like showing him over and over again that she
does like him. She does, right? And you're just it's that was that's the most fascinating part of the movie is the dynamic between the two, and I love how like it's one of those things where she kind of doesn't necessarily believe him until she sees what he's been talking about all this time. And then she's in. Like I love that how she she sees Raymond Burr's character kind of do some, I can't remember what it was that he did, but then she's like, oh my God. And then the thing with the dog too, I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, poor dog. Like,
I know, right?
Yeah, that was really, and that was just very well done. It's great. God, what a master story.
And the way they have like every neighbor like kind of play a part in a way in the movie.
And he's watching all of them and all their dysfunction, and he's just as you could say he's almost as dysfunctional himself. And I think I
just love this concept of like
the nurse is great.
Like he's such a creep, but he's like in a way it's really creepy what he's doing.
He's also
investigating a murder.
Right. And he's fully watching. I love his detective friend too. I thought it was really good. But he's fully watching. Like he's watching this one family. He's watching these newlyweds. He's watching the old couple that sleeps out on the balcony.
And then the girl. What is she, like a dancer or something? The girl like straight across from him.
Well, it turns out her husband or boyfriend was away at the war.
War,
and she's having dudes over while he's away in the war, which was interesting. So, it's such a good movie, man. I really, really enjoyed it. I might actually buy it. I need to buy it. And
that is awesome, man. Like part of me knew you were gonna like it, but I didn't think you would like it this much.
Oh, so that's loved it.
Yeah, loved it just goes to show, like I've took a lot of film classes in my later years, getting my bachelor's degree, and like I watched so many old movies, and I love them. Like it just gives me. It gives me an insight not only to like the filmmaking of that time, but that era in general. Like, because you see like movies made today, right? And you see people on their cell phones and like like people being on their cell phones is like a part of filmmaking, like because it's realistic, right? Like we watched Mayor of Easttown, right? Like you see her, like she's she's talking to like a police officer, like another detective, but she's like on her phone. Like that's just the way life is, right? So if somebody watched a movie or a show today, they see people on their phones. That's how life is today. When you watch movies from the 50s or the 60s, 70s, whatever, you get a little bit of peek into what life was like back then. And that's why I love it so much, because it's the closest we'll ever get to time traveling.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, people actually have to relate.
Look, I could talk Rear Window all night, but let's get to our new homework assignments. And going forward, we'll have our full episodes, but we really just wanted to talk Many Saints of Newark tonight and then get to our homework assignments. So, Keith, what do you got for me for this time?
All right. Now, I'm actually split. So I got two things here that I want you to watch. They're both documentaries.
I know what I'm challenging you to, unless you've seen it since the last time we talked about it.
Okay.
There's a movie I want you to watch, and it's called Belle. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
It stars Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you haven't seen it, right?
No.
Okay. So it is basically based on a true story about the mixed race daughter of a Royal Navy captain, Sir John Lindsay, and she's raised in an aristocratic. She's raised by her aristocratic great uncle, Lord William Murray, first Earl of Mansfield in 18th century England. And look, that's a
interesting,
very boring synopsis of the movie, but
she's English. That's right.
Yeah. So this movie, first of all, it's a really good movie. And when I saw it, I thought of you, and I thought you would like it. And also, I love Gugu Mbatha-Raw. I'm in love with her. Just, she's one of my celebrity crushes. And this is the movie that made that so. Not only just because she's gorgeous, but also like she's a really good actress.
Yes.
She's a really, really good actress. So not going to take too much of your time, but you get to watch Belle for 2 hours.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Well, okay. Do you have NBA TV?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it comes with my cable pack. Or I have YouTube TV, so it's on there.
Are you able to access on-demand programming on there? Because it kind of depends on.
I'm not sure, but I can look in. Like, I can try to figure that out.
Okay, if you can, I want you to watch. They did a great 2-part documentary about the 1996 NBA draft.
Wow. Okay.
And it's really, really good. And obviously, that includes the number 1 pick that year was Allen Iverson. Kobe Bryant was the year Kobe Bryant was drafted. Steve Nash.
7th overall?
No, 13th.
Oh, damn it. You're right.
By the Charlotte Hornets.
I knew that.
Yes.
Damn it.
So they go into all of that. It's really, really good.
And how he was traded to the Lakers and all that stuff. It's like a freaking.
Yes.
It's like the Luka Doncic and Trae Young thing. Like they were drafted and then traded.
Well, so Ray Allen was drafted that year, 4th. And then Stephon Marbury, I think, was drafted. Marbury was 4th and Ray Allen was 5th. And they actually swapped with each other. They tell that whole story about that. Like I said, Steve Nash was in that draft.
What is it called?
It's just the 1996 NBA draft. If you just search probably just 1996 NBA draft documentary.
Is it a documentary? Ready or Not, the 96 draft?
Ready or Not. Yes. It's called Ready or Not.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Peja Stojakovic is in that draft.
Ooh, I love Peja. All right. Well, I will find a way to watch this, and that'll be my homework assignment. If I can't, if for some reason I can't access it, I'll let you know, and maybe you can assign me something else.
I have something else for you if you can't. I'll just tell you what that is now, just in case.
For sure.
So if you can't, the other thing I was split on was this one. It's on HBO Max. Documentary about it's the Woodstock 99 documentary.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just gonna leave that at that. So
that interests me.
That's
awesome.
I'll just say this: it's one of the worst things that's ever happened in America.
Not even. That's awesome.
I'm not exaggerating.
I will.
But yes.
Yeah, so I'll look out for 96 NBA draft documentary,
Yes.
and then if I can't access it somehow, I'll watch Woodstock 99.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, we have a late viewer here. Hey Keith, can you put that in the garbage now? Oh, he's talking about your hat. Brian,
Shut up, Brian.
Your image on YouTube is like the best picture I've ever seen of you, man.
That's
Good job.
Yeah, no, right?
That's a good picture, man. Wow. Brian shows up at the last minute to shit on your hat.
It's just a hat, okay? I'm a Nationals fan. They're way worse than anyone that's playing right now. So, but no, that's fine. It's a good season. Okay. A lot of people complaining about the one game playoff between Yankees and Red Sox. It should be a series. I thought it was good. It was a good matchup.
Well,
Boston's
they can't
very good.
change the rules just because of the teams that meet.
Exactly. It's whatever. It happens. It's been a long time for the Yankees. So they haven't. They're in a very long dry spell since they've been very, very good. I think 2009 they won the last one World Series. So, oh well.
Yeah. No worries. It's okay. I mean, the Giants are going to win the World Series anyway, so nobody cares about any of this.
Hey, they might.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Bartley and Barnes. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you,
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, for showing up. Hey, we appreciate your view and your comments. Much appreciated here. Stay tuned. We will be doing an episode next month talking about all the stuff we watched, recapping our homework assignments, checking in on certain things, but also we basically greenlit a Sopranos podcast on the Bartley and Barnes YouTube channel. We as long as we both approve, then it's approved. So we're good to go. You can so look out for that as well. We'll do that as soon as we can both finish season 1. We'll get that started. Thank you, Rachel. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we're trying to stay consistent with this. We missed a month, but we're going to stay continuing with this going forward. So really appreciate everybody who watched this. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.